Welcome to the Spare Parts Racing Podcast, your podcast for all things motorsports. With your hosts, Sean Chavarella, Stephen Clary, and Taylor Moore.
Hear that music?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Spare Parts Racing. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Steven.
I'm Taylor.
And friends, this week we have the conclusion of the 2024 Formula One season to talk about, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We have, a lot to get through with that race, to be honest. And also a lot of things in the news. And we'll see what we get to. I honestly don't know if we'll touch all of it. But there is quite a bit. So, without further ado. Sorry, Taylor, you fucking lost.
Is that considered a maximum pain season for them? Like second in constructors, top three in drivers?
Well, it's been done before.
I don't know if it's that bad really for Ferrari. Like, arguably, they did have the second best car all year. I think they got what their team was.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think it's a step up from where they were the last couple of years. Like, they were struggling a little bit, and I think that they saw quite a bit of improvement. And I think second isn't something to be disappointed in. Like, yes, I think that they very well could have been in first, but McLaren, the way that they were, I think they should still be proud of where they ended up. Like, McLaren just outperformed, and that's okay.
They didn't just outperform, though. Like, McLaren as a team they've raced, was it every single lap this year?
Piastri raced every single lap.
Mm-hmm.
That consistency is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially from a young driver.
Yes.
Maybe from a veteran, you could say, yeah, you know what, I expect it from a guy in his second season with the team.
Well, no, it was, I think, Piastri led every lap, and McLaren was classified every race. So they didn't actually technically have a DNF.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's also very impressive to have that consistency of a team, to always be there, to have your car not fail, to not get caught up in other people's messes. Yeah, I think you could say McLaren had a very good season as a team.
And clearly made a deal with the devil.
Clearly. As they finish with 666 points.
And missed
Deal with
every
the
single
devil.
accident. That's fair.
That's the only explanation there could be.
It's how you win once in, 26 years?
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a long time since McLaren won, but good for them. I mean, it sucks for Ferrari, but I think only good things are coming their way, so we'll see how things shake out next year. It'll be interesting with Leclerc and Hamilton in those cars, so we'll see.
Yeah, and like I would say, back to the whole constructor fight, though. Not what ended up, but the fight in the last race. Was it not exciting that Ferrari did basically everything they could? Leclerc had probably one of the best opening laps all season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was P19 to P8?
Yep.
Yeah.
Insane. It helps when, Verstappen takes out Piastri.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Hulkenberg or Magnussen took out Perez?
I think it was K-Mag.
Either way, that's 4 free spots right there.
Yep.
But to get another 5 on top, or is that math right? Another 7 on top of that, that's insane.
Yeah. It was like literally the equivalent of hitting, I guess, the Mario Star on the first lap. Like, especially when when Piastri spun and Leclerc gained, I think it was like almost most of the spots right there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 3 or 4 right in that first corner.
Yep.
As he goes to the field. Yeah, it was a very impressive drive from basically last to third. I think had you gotten a safety car in that race, maybe Ferrari could have done something.
Maybe. I think that would have made things so interesting if we did get a safety car, but I think the race before in Qatar, we basically like knew that it was going to take a lot for the FIA to actually call a safety car in the race, and nothing really happened. Like there weren't any really big incidents that required that. So I thought maybe at one point there would be, and then I think Bottas just ended up continuing into the pit lane. So
Mm-hmm.
no, but it would have been really interesting. But
There
it was
was
a really good
one-
fight all around.
There was one pretty late in the race. I think it was Piastri made a move. Like he was fighting. I want to say like Sonoda or someone. It was late, and he kind of had like a
Yeah.
little.
Mm.
It was in the third sector, and he had like a little snap of like oversteer to the left, and
Oh, yes.
stepped out
Right.
hard, and it's like, oh,
This is when he was stuck behind Alonso, and yeah, I think it was Sonoda because it wouldn't have been Lawson
yeah,
because Lawson he took out earlier in the race.
yep. But
So.
yeah, it was that moment where I'm like, oh, imagine if Piastri threw away the car there.
Oh my
and
god.
and then just gifted a safety car to Ferrari.
Oh,
Like that would have been drama, like just insane. But didn't happen. Racing gods were like, nah, you can save this one.
no,
Yeah.
the devil insured.
Yes.
The deal was completed
They had the 666 locked up.
because it gave him the extra point.
That is fair. So yeah, McLaren locks in the win. You had the Ferrari 2-3. It was nice to see. I think the two teams kind of congratulating each other in the pit lane.
Mhm.
Because not only was the McLaren 1, Ferrari 2, which we haven't seen in I don't know how many years, of those two both being in the top.
Yeah.
I want to say like, okay, 2008? Yeah, 2008. Oh, nailed it.
Wow.
Anyway, Ellie just pulled it up on the website. Anyway, so yeah, 2008 was the last time those two were in the top. Since 2012? No, 2010. It has been Red Bull or Mercedes.
Yeah. It's been a long time. So
14 years. I've done my
honestly,
waiting.
well earned.
Yeah,
14
good
years
that
of
was
it.
coming.
So
It was well earned.
It
Well
was.
earned.
So yeah, other I think awesome highlight from the race was Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great drive for 4. Absolutely pantses Russell on the last lap.
Which is hilarious.
Which
Oh.
is great. Love to see it.
Yeah, that was just such a fuck you.
Anything to humble that guy, even though I don't think he's like capable of being humbled at this point. But
Honestly, although I actually did,
Anything.
I did like George's response going down the straight at the end of the race. After he gets past, he was just applauding Lewis as he goes by him.
yeah, as he should.
But yeah, it was a good race. Pretty fun all around, and I think kind of just tops off this year. And it was, I think, a really good F1 season.
It really was. And before we move on or like talk about the season as a whole or anything, can we just acknowledge that Gasly is the first Formula One driver to have like to go an entire season without costing his team anything and like damages?
Really?
Okay,
Interesting.
he is the
You guys
only
didn't see
person.
that?
Yes, he is the only person that didn't have any at-fault damage. Like he didn't do anything specifically to the car. Because he did blow up in was it him that blew up in Vegas? Like I thought he had some DNFs, but I don't think they were either
Yeah,
mechanical failure or
DNF.
stuff.
They
But-
were just failures of the car
Yes.
itself. He never crashed.
Yeah.
He never there was nothing that he did that cost the team money, basically. So anyway, the stat is that he's the first F1 driver to not like cost the team something because of something he's done, a mistake that he's made, basically. So I thought that was really cool. Good for him. Obviously, he had a very consistent season.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to see because I feel like Gasly really did get screwed by Red Bull, and it's nice to see him kind of like, I don't know, do something positive at Alpine.
That's fair.
So the win wasn't positive.
No, I just thought it was cool.
But yeah.
Wait, did you say the win? Gasly didn't get a win.
Or no, I'm thinking Ocon and Monza. Where am I? Am I having a stroke? Maybe I'm having a stroke.
Win that race?
Gasly won in Monza, but Gasly did not win for Alpine. He won for AlphaTauri.
I'm having a stroke. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's like Alpine was like so trash at the beginning of the season. I would be shocked if they pulled out a win, but I know that they pulled out some really good. They did pull out a podium at some point, right?
They had the double podium in Brazil.
Maybe that's what I was thinking
Brazil.
of.
Okay. Yeah, don't forget, Max was so far ahead he was in his own class that race. So I guess maybe you're thinking they won the class.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I think the stat I saw was that Max's points for this season were more than Perez's season this and last combined.
Jeez.
And like he's done, right?
He's done.
Yeah.
He has to be done. Like, I think Horner's comments, I think it was over the weekend, he basically was like, he's been in this long enough to know what the situation is. I feel like he basically said he's done. Like, there's no 2 more years with him. He's just done.
Like, there was no pace, and it seemed like in the last 2 races, he honestly just quit.
Maybe he already knew. Like, maybe he knew.
But, like, in this race, he got spun.
Mm-hmm.
Just got out of the car.
No, he kept going.
Yeah, after like 200 meters, he got out of the car.
But then the car was again spun.
Oh, that's true.
They never showed what happened to Perez. They showed him get hit. They showed him drive out of the corner. And then the next thing you saw of him, the car is backwards and it's getting pushed behind a barrier. I think he just spun it again on his own.
Maybe. Ugh.
Like, they never showed him actually, like, when he was done and parked up by the barriers. I'm just saying.
Just gave up.
And same with last race. Like, oh, I lost drive. It's like the car sounded like it was kind of fine there. And you just looped it under the safety car. Like, yeah, I feel like he's given up. His F1 career goes out with a whimper.
Yeah.
And I think also now, like, Red Bull has a very difficult offseason.
They have some decisions to make. And I do wonder, because, like, Red Bull's just, like, so weird, right? Because they have, like, Red Bull and then they have the Racing Bulls or whatever, right? So it's all, like, weird interconnected team dynamics between those 4 seats, right? So I don't know. Like, I do wonder if they go with Lawson for whatever reason, which is what the rumor is that Liam Lawson's going to be promoted. Like, that's got to sting for Yuki because he's put in the work. He's been there for a long time. I think he deserves it. So it's just going to be interesting how that all plays out in the offseason, what they end up, like the direction that they end up going in.
Yeah, if they go Lawson over Yuki, I kind of feel like that's a racist Helmut Marko kind of play there. To be like, we want the white guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Like,
Marko,
if you look at the market of either 2 driver, one is Japan, one is Australia, both massive F1 markets for driver promotion stuff. Honestly, probably close to the same size, but I would assume the edge goes to Japan. But I think everything says Yuki should be the guy getting promoted.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for some reason, yeah, I think it is going to be, if anyone does get promoted, Lawson. I'll change that. If any one driver gets promoted, it's going to be Lawson. There is the possibility it's both.
mean.
Wow, come on.
Oh.
Max may just retire.
Max just giving up and pulling a Rosberg.
And he just like says, "See you later, I'm out. Gonna be a father."
It would be such a Max thing to do.
Well, especially after, what was it, it was last week in Qatar, where he's just like, fuck George Russell. I don't have any respect for the guy. I feel like respect's being lost, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he could be like, yeah, he could just kind of be very jaded about like F1 and all of the politics between drivers. But I feel like the situation with George is just so kind of in its own little realm, because I think he's not the only driver on the grid who probably feels that way about George Russell. So I feel like of all the reasons for Max to want to leave F1, George Russell would be like quite literally the bottom of the bottom, like the dirt underneath his shoe reason for leaving. But I could completely see him being like, yeah, I'm a dad now. That's my priority. Peace out, I'm done.
To be fair, he did say he's always been a dad.
That's true.
He said he has been a bonus dad to Pete.
He has been a bonus dad.
That is, I like how when someone said, "Oh, you're going to be dad now," his first thing was to say, "I already am." That was awesome. But yeah, I do think there's an element of him wanting to maybe step away. I could easily see him being like, "Hey, I have this long-term contract. I'm taking a year off." And like, you didn't have to announce that right before the final race weekend. You could have done it a week later and avoided any questions on it. But you kind of wanted to get that out there beforehand.
Yeah.
Well, did you see his comments when somebody asked him about the penalty points and he's like, "I should make it 12 so I can get paternity leave"?
So again, he's already thinking of leave.
Yeah. You know what? Max just has that personality too, where he'd be like, "Bye-bye." Just pull a Rosberg and just say, "Thank you very much for the championship. I'm done."
And like, it's so much more going out on top than being like a Vettel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poor
Well,
Vettel.
that's always the question of, do you give up while you're on top, or do you just slowly let your career peter out on a backmarker team like a Schumacher, Vettel,
Alonso.
Raikkonen, Alonso?
Bottas.
The list is too long.
Yeah. Ricardo. A lot of top guys.
Yeah.
Kind of go out with a whimper. Perez.
Yeah. Out with a bang or out with a whimper. It always happens.
I'm just saying, if this offseason is as chaotic maybe as it could be, Max leaving would be the ultimate wrench throw into the F1 silly season.
Mm-hmm.
It very much would. Very much would. It'd actually be so funny too.
It is funny though how, like, remember a couple years ago how I was saying, like, I wanted Max to be dominant because, like, I wanted him to be the villain of F1.
Mm-hmm.
But god damn it, he is too nice. His personality honestly is too likable.
Yeah, honestly, it's so funny when we were talking about just like things changing. I think in our group chat a couple of weeks ago when Spotify Wrapped came out, Sarah's cheering for Max. I'm cheering for Max. I don't know what happened, but I feel like the last year his personality really like came through, and you got to see all those videos between like him and P, and just like how likable he is, and he's really funny. So it's hard to hate him. But to your villain point, I think we do have our villain in F1.
Oh, we do
and his
now.
name is George Russell or Lando Norris. I think both of them
that is accurate.
Be tied for villain of F1.
Yeah, both of them, I think. Okay, but to the whole George and Verstappen beef, is there not part of you that thinks it's all bullshit? That, like, they're texting you? I think there's like, okay, last week of the season, there's nothing happening between us. Let's start some beef in the media. Because, like, this really did come out of nowhere. Like, it came off the penalty in Qatar, I guess. But it was such a bizarre penalty that also meant nothing. Like, okay, Steven, if me and you were in F1, we're buddies. Yeah. Would we not fuck with people sometimes?
Probably.
Would we
but
not just be like, okay, we're going to have the most nastiest quotes in the media for the next week and just see what happens. Just stir some shit.
While I don't doubt that would happen, I also don't think like if I did something to you and I came in with a PowerPoint and started bitching and whining, I don't think you would necessarily be like, "Oh, that's all right, buddy. That's completely fine."
I mean, I've been waiting for you to do that, I feel like, for a number of years, but that's just because, I just dunk on you all the time. I'm kind of an asshole.
I don't have a FIA to complain to, sadly, other
That's
than
fair.
your wife.
I was
And your
gonna
wife
say- I was
just
gonna say,
and
that's
your
100%
wife just says, "Yes, I already know he's an idiot. I am sadly the one that is penalized with knowing him." So
That's valid.
actually, no, we're both penalized by knowing you. She's penalized by being married to you.
Hey,
Yeah,
suckers.
she's in it
So-
like legally.
Yeah,
She's
so
in it for the long haul.
Fair enough. I don't know. I want to believe that there is some just behind the scenes. Let's just
Bro.
pretend this
No,
because it really is so random, and it's like the quotes came out of nowhere. Too.
it's
Like,
not random though. Like if you look, okay, did you not see all the clips this week of Russell blaming literally everybody and probably a random tire on his mistakes in races?
Russell
like-
bitches about everything. Russell
He
is
bitches
a
about
bitch.
everything. He's a massive bitch, and I honest to God think that this is legit beef. Like I don't think Max would be out here. Like I don't think he has the time for that. Like all he wants to do is sit and race on his sim, do this F1 stuff, and like that's pretty much it. I don't think he cares for the type of shit that Russell does, like the politicking, the bitching, the whining. Like I think honestly, I think all of this is like very legitimate and it's actual beef.
Okay. So we might next year get a really fun, I don't know, beef championship between, I guess, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, a bunch of guys who might not like each other.
we can hope.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix can hope and also pay to make it happen.
Yeah, it's also a shame. Like, there hasn't been good, like, in-season beef. Like, again, this is coming the last week. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest, by this time next year, it will not matter. No one's going to talk about it.
No, you're right.
Until the week of testing, when it comes out in Drive to Survive, and they use that audio in like the first episode.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then the beef is like rehashed in the media, being like, "Oh right, George Russell and Max Verstappen hate each other," and then they'll have to comment on it, and they'll comment on how it was shown.
But it's
Max
not-
will probably
it's not
say,
gonna
"I
matter.
don't subscribe
Max
to
won't
this."
even be there. He'll be at home with his dad 'cause he's not going to race next year. Like, it's all
Right.
coming together.
He'll be at home with the baby.
Yes. Actually, I'm pretty sure next season starts before he would have
I
the
think
kid,
it's probably before she's due.
which is just ridiculous
likely.
how fast of a turnaround F1 is.
Yep.
And I guess racing in
Yeah.
general nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, good times.
So what happens when you have 7 weeks off over like what, a 3-month span?
Basically. So yeah, what else do we have? Anything else for the race? F1 beef and drama.
I was gonna say, how much did anyone like Piastri's comments after the spin?
Oh,
Move a world champion right there.
That was
Oh yes,
fantastic. Piastri is hilarious. Like,
Yes.
honestly.
Yeah. Oh, and then the other thing involving Piastri, actually before, what was it, on the Thursday night when they did their team, or not team dinner, the group
Driver
dinner
dinner.
with all the drivers.
Mhm.
And I loved it, all the comparisons instantly being like, well, George and Max just had this huge beef. And apparently when George walked in, they left a seat next to Max, which A+ moved by the rest of the drivers.
Fucking
and
hilarious.
and George took the chair and sat down by Hamilton.
yeah.
But also the group picture where Piastri's just slyly smiling in the front, like that girl in front of the house on fire meme.
Yeah.
They all know, like they all know. what they're doing.
I think
It's
the
great.
hilarious thing was Bottas paid for the dinner.
Yep.
No.
And did you see his comments after
Aw.
qualifying on that one? And he had
No.
he made it into Q3, remember?
Yep. Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying like, yeah, I guess that helped me. He had quite a few toes in the lap, and guys got out of his way.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, I should have done that
Nice.
before.
Yep.
So yeah, that was cute. Still didn't help him get a point though.
No.
He
Oh,
fin-
rough.
However, on the bright side of Bottas, he doesn't finish last in the championship. He finishes 22nd of 24.
Beating out Logan Sargent, Jack Doohan. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't even mention, I guess, from last week that did we mention that Ocon got the boot for Doohan?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Well, it was like
I
a this way he can do testing sort of thing, which
Yeah, but
doesn't really
that
make
was
sense considering Sainz did testing like the next day.
Yeah, that was such a fucking dumb call.
Yeah,
Doohan-
I don't know,
Doohan did
I
not
just
have a good
don't understand
performance.
it. No. But like why? For one season, like one race left in the season, I don't get it.
Especially when you're fighting for constructors still. I don't know. Definitely was a weird call.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh well.
I should think what else we had.
Nico Hulkenberg finishing in the points again.
No surprise there.
Just randomly doing well. Hey, didn't K-Mag get the fastest lap?
Did he?
I think so. Because they don't have it listed, and I'm pretty sure they put his graphic up for fastest lap.
It was Kevin Magnussen. Fastest lap. Haas looks good this year, though. Like, they've, especially the second half, that could be a team, depending on next year. Are they starting to, be more efficient? Start with a good car, develop it. Because always, their issue used to always be development.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember, I guess, under the Rich Energy days, their car was a really good qualifying car, but they had a terrible season in developing, and then they had to go through old parts, new parts. They had no idea what was happening. They went to an original spec car at one point in the season. This year, the Haas seemed to start slow, start midfieldish, and I think by the end of the year, top 5 car.
Yeah.
I would only put the big 4 ahead of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aston Martin hasn't been overly impressive.
They started that
They're-
fast, but they just died after
Yeah.
Miami.
You maybe put
Yeah.
Alpine
But
somewhere
they
close
had
to them.
one good result, literally one.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. That's why I'm like, maybe that's the closest one, but yeah, everybody else, nah.
Yeah.
So it's a good jumping off point for Ocon and Aldi Bearman next year.
Honestly, yeah. That's not a bad team to
Yeah.
be getting into. What other results do we have that's noticeable? Gasly 7th, good for him. Alonso 9th. Piastri manages to get a point back, gets 10th. Also, they purposely, I'm pretty sure, had Lando not pass him.
Yes.
Could you imagine?
'Cause-
If he was one lap short of the record.
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate. So,
Yeah. You had a solid 5-second gap at the end, so yeah, why not? 6 seconds basically. Why not? Uh-oh. Bye, cat. But yeah, no,
you're not supposed to
that
acknowledge
would
me
make sense.
getting up to let the cat out. I'm supposed to do it. It's supposed to be stealthily. I turn the mic off, and yet you totally derail your own thought to acknowledge
Meanwhile,
me
all
letting
of
the cat out.
our YouTube viewers can see you get up and let the cat out.
Yeah, and that's fun for them. You just have to acknowledge it.
Why
Let me say
can't
goodbye
the
to my son.
podcast
No.
listeners have the fun too
Fine.
of you trying to be stealthy?
No. Anyway, what were you saying, Steven? Before I railroaded you
I don't
for
know.
railroading me?
Nothing. I think we were just talking about Piastri not getting past, which makes sense. Yeah, the 6-second gap to Carlos. No point.
Yeah.
Why are you going to try and run down your teammate?
Yeah.
Is that all we have for this race weekend and the finale for F1?
Yeah, I think so. I was gonna say the only other thing, because I'm just sort of going back to the qualifying, is like Nico Hulkenberg also qualified 4th technically before his penalty.
Yes.
So yeah, further evidence to Haas being
Good.
strong
On the
going
up.
into next season.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, as we saw in the last couple of years with McLaren, they started weak. And as they got better and better, it's carried over. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's only been 18 months since they were like the worst team on the grid by a long shot.
Yeah.
So, major kudos to Andrea Stella for turning that team around.
Like, the whole story of McLaren is fascinating from how they were a couple years ago in such a terrible spot with the Honda thing. They had no sponsors in the car. And honestly, they are a success of Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Them and Haas specifically are one of the first 2 teams that got on board with it, were there in season 1, and essentially helped create the hype that is Drive to Survive, get all more teams involved. They used that hype to get more sponsorship. They were able to get more money. Because, yeah, there was a time where McLaren was really struggling. And in, like, what, less than 10 years' time? Actually, probably, 10 years' time. Because it was 2014 was their first struggles. They've turned it around at our Constructor Champions. So, damn. Good for them.
Damn. Yeah. Made it a lot easier to wear the hat on this episode. And this year.
That's true.
So. Do we want to do the full season?
I was going to say we should save the full season and
next week?
2024 as a whole next week.
Okay.
So I think that'll be our last episode of the year. So I feel like we should kind of just touch on some new stuff that's happened.
Okay, what you got? Because I didn't have a whole lot.
Okay, so we had the beef. We did that. Did you see what is
Oh my
it?
God, Sean took notes and made a list.
Yes, I do. When it comes to, I guess, IndyCar, did you see they had the first glimpse of the 2027 car?
And people were not happy.
And it fucking
Oh
sucked.
dear.
Wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it's based off of what was it? The Red Bull
No.
X1 or
No,
whatever?
No. The original that they were shown for the 2027 car
Yeah.
was basically the car they have now
Yeah.
with F2 front and rear wing.
Riveting.
Yeah, and the reason the whole Red Bull car is coming in now is because some of the teams were like, why can't we go in like this direction? Why can't we make a bigger leap? Why can't...
Because that car is also a decade and a half old.
It's older than the current car, actually.
I know, that's what I mean.
But like not like, but like something like that, like something more futuristic. Let's get like maybe we can go fully enclosed cockpit, stuff like that. And yeah, it's rough. It is not looking good for IndyCar and the new car scene.
Yeah, I mean, what direction do you go in? Do you follow the F1 path and just sort of open up the regulations, let teams design their own parts, and still use the older chassis? Maybe that's the way to go. Or do you stay as a spec series and sort of just trundle along as is? Or even worse, you sort of end up like Formula E has, and where they put out a new spec car and then it's just there's no innovation, there's nothing to really be excited about because all the cars are the exact same.
Or
So,
they go
there's
another
Formula E
option and just go with what fucking IMSA did and WEC with the hypercar and just say,
well, that would be
figure it out.
open it. Yeah, that would be open. That's more than the Formula One track of open up the regulations, let them design the cars. So
yeah, I know.
I think it's
what
pretty
I would
obvious.
say.
I was gonna say it's pretty obvious based off that reaction what your thought is.
100%. But this is why it's not going to happen, because little fucking shit for Brains CEO Mark Miles, and his quotes about the car is like, "Oh well, we're trying to make him as cheap as possible."
Yeah.
It's like we're really focused on keeping costs down. If you keep treating yourself like a budget series, you're never going to become anything more than that.
Yep. Outside the Indy 500.
Yeah. WEC and IMSA have said, screw it. We are going to be the top sports cars out there. And we are actually going to figure out what it means to be a sports car. IndyCar really should go, we are going to be the fastest thing on wheels around an oval.
Mm-hmm.
They are not doing that. They are penny pinching and just trying to be as cheap as possible. And again, like you're basing your design off your old design to keep costs down, and then just throwing modernish wings. What are we doing here? That's a terrible idea.
From a feeder series across the fucking pond.
Meanwhile, in the years of hypercar, it's been around for what, like 4 years now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different car manufacturers have jumped on board in the hypercar.
Makes sense.
From literally around the world. And in terms of chassis manufacturers, you have what? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 chassis manufacturers plus the 6 that are built in the Le Mans hypercar type. That is 10 different chassis manufacturers for series that pull less viewership than IndyCar.
One thing
you just stop thinking about yourself as like a little fish. Be the big fish.
Yeah, the one thing you could say as a inherent advantage for these endurance series is, well, for someone testing a road car, it's a better testing ground for our product, but same time, they've also given you license to test everything, which is, one of the key things in motorsports.
Yeah.
Why a lot of these manufacturers get into the different varieties of motorsports. They can test different things.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And a reason what IndyCar should be selling itself as with cars and with power units, I don't know if we'll say engines, but power units, is how fast and how long can you last?
Mm-hmm.
Endurance racing is endurance. It's not necessarily pushing to the max the whole way. There are stints and, different paces at different times. IndyCar is like F1 where it's sprint racing. However, IndyCar has ovals. And that's another element that needs to be factored in. And you should sell this to potential manufacturers. Be like, hey, if you want to test stuff, you can test what you can run at max for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand why the leadership of IndyCar is so scared of failing. You have some of the richest old dudes in charge of this series. If you die, who gives a shit? Like, make something that's actually going to... Again, if you fail and screw up the series, fine. You've done that. It's fine. The 500 is still going to be here. Just rebuild from there. But you can easily do something to try to make the series better. And there is no trying.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Thank you, Yoda. I don't know. It pisses me off so much, all this whole chassis talk.
Well, it's slowly going to turn into I have a rich dad, let me go zip around in a car. I mean, we already see it with, Barbados Boy coming in.
Barbados Boy.
Logan Sargent was testing a couple weeks ago. Can't wait to see Lance Stroll hop on over at some point, maybe. Whenever Lawrence gives up on on F1 because he realizes, well, I can't keep Fernando around forever.
Yeah, true.
We did get a Canadian rich boy back in IndyCar.
That is true.
Oh,
We did get
Di
Devlin
Francesco?
back.
Yeah.
Right.
Forgot about
Right.
I really hope he just makes Ganassi's life hell.
Probably.
So yeah, just think what else was there in the news. Oh, damn it! I was just thinking, wasn't there an announcement with one of the tracks was signed on for? Right, no, it was Dutch Grand Prix was going away.
We lose the Dutch
Yeah,
Grand Prix.
yes,
I
that was the
mean,
one.
like a bunch of other tracks locked in until 2030 or 2031.
Yeah, I mean, everybody.
I am not going to miss the Dutch Grand Prix.
No, it's not going to be a bad thing at all. And I guess whenever the future schedule comes out, that has, I guess, the changed Canadian Grand Prix, which is going to be sooner in the year. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can see they're trying to make things more regionalized, but yeah.
Yeah.
Of all the races,
Yeah.
if you're going to take any off the calendar, which I think they should, the Dutch Grand Prix was one that I think could go.
Yeah, and honestly, I will forever keep praying that Miami goes. I hate that race. I will forever hate that race.
It is not good.
It's not a good race. It doesn't produce good racing. It's just a terrible event all around. I really hope they get rid of Miami one day.
Or at the very least, cycle it. Cycle it through a couple different tracks. Put it in a schedule where you can have some variance year to year and not have people like one or two variance tracks that are regional.
You do have 8 more years of at least the Miami Grand Prix, so sorry, Taylor. You'll be almost 40 when it's off the calendar.
That's terrifying.
One.
Huh?
Or 40. Will you guys be... You're older than me.
Yeah, we'll be like 48.
Ew.
No, we'll be 38.
38. You'll be 37. Sorry, not 40. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was
almost
like,
40.
What? I'm so confused. Gross. Very gross.
I know. Deal with that.
Let's
Deal with that
talk
existential
about the
crisis.
fact that we're almost 30, so...
Yeah, we get old. What else was down in the news? Oh yeah, did you guys see the Formula E?
Oh, the
crash?
Pascal airline crash?
Or just Formula E in general?
I honestly completely forgot it.
Just the
started
crash.
up again.
No, that's fine. Sam Byrne went like last or first.
Wow.
Oh.
Yep.
Good for him.
Wow.
Also, it was a bang of a race, and and Fairline got launched to a wall. That car survived just fine. But yeah.
See, the problem I have right now with Formula E, I didn't even realize it was starting. And like a year ago, I was not all over it, but I was much more into it. This year, nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to put more effort into it.
Yeah. No, but like that's sort of my thing is like I feel like I don't know if it's just it's sort of fallen off with my algorithm, but like I feel like I haven't seen nearly as much content around it.
That's fair.
Around Formula E?
Around Formula E.
Yeah. It's like nowhere on my feed. And I get like weird rally shit on my feed these days, but like Formula E is just like outside of the algorithm.
Okay, well, I think the key is we have to get more Formula E on our algorithm so that we remember to watch it. Like, it's been around for almost a decade at this point, eh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just keep saying it into the mic. The algorithm will get it. I just visited Formula E's site, so...
Formula E.
No, you're doing that right now with talking into the internet, dumbass.
Oh, okay, fair enough. IndyCar.
No, that won't make IndyCar better. That's not the problem.
Well, maybe if more people watch it, it might.
Yeah.
They'll stop pretending they're the fucking, I don't know, ARCA series of North America, apparently.
Yeah. The social media teams still do fine with what they're given to work with. It's what they're given to work with that is absolute dog shit.
That's fair. Oh,
That's
right.
the problem.
Another IndyCar thing in my head. Just popped in.
I mentioned dog shit, and you instantly think of something IndyCar related.
Yes,
Huh.
exactly. Connor Daly has his might get a ride.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and apparently it's coming down to the vote on like the polka dot like board members have to vote on it. That's where we're at. Where a driver's career kind of hangs by a vote in a corporation.
The polka dot?
Yeah, the sponsor is polka dot.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, what? Who are these polka dotted people?
That's fair.
Interesting.
Very. What else we got? Is that all?
That's pretty much all.
Damn.
Like it was. Oh, this is the end of the year
It is.
thing, right? The news cycle winds down. It's less journalists are at the track
Less things
making
are on
announcements. Yep. So it's it's already the end of the year. We're now almost 5 years into the 2020s, which is terrifying.
That's insane.
Track. Yeah, we started the podcast 5 years ago.
Goddamn.
Look at us go.
Yeah, we started. We got 3 episodes in, and I'm pretty sure the world shut down afterwards.
Yeah, it did.
Oh my gosh, 2020. I cannot believe this.
Anyway,
Oh
on
my
that wonderful
gosh.
note,
I'm gonna have
also,
a crisis.
PSA, I would definitely say go see Wicked. It's good. I enjoyed it.
Oh,
Noted.
good. It's on my list. It is on my list of things to do.
I've been annoying Sarah with the soundtrack recently.
Yes,
Oh.
I know.
Here, I have one thing if we want to do this
Go
quickly
for it. Yep.
and not have it roll into our 24/F1 2024 season review. Do you want to go through the fantasy stuff or not fantasy,
Oh,
but like our
yeah.
our predictions?
Let's go through.
They're
our
pretty
predictions.
interesting.
Yeah, I think
They're
that's
pretty
fair.
interesting actually.
Oh,
So what do you want to do
no.
first? I've got so we did, just a reminder, we did constructors, all 10 teams, drivers top 5, and every team's head to head. Which would you like to start with?
I think we should do constructors only and give our
Constructors?
constructors prediction, and I think we should save the others for next week, especially the head to head if we're going to do our F1 review.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
We can at least do the constructors and it's a good thing because we were not good.
Oh god.
No.
No. Well, I mean, for our top 5, we all had the same, which is pretty fucking lame. I'm going last for everything. I'm just gonna say something different, and chances are I will probably be right, or at least closer to being right.
I think next year's gonna be a fun prediction.
Yeah. We all had Red Bull first.
You know,
Wow.
if they had fired Perez like they should have.
To be fair, at the beginning of the season in testing, that's all we had to go off of.
Yeah, and
It
Max
wasn't that
was
far
the
off.
best.
Yeah,
Max
and
was
until
the best. You just figured it was going to be a carbon copy of last year.
yeah, and we had no suspicion until about, well, it was after Miami, so maybe like June or July that they might lose it. So,
Mhm.
we were all correct with Ferrari second.
Yeah, no surprise.
All right.
We were all wrong with McLaren third, Aston Martin fourth, Mercedes fifth. All wrong there.
To be fair, at the start of the year,
yes.
year,
Yes.
that wasn't a terrible prediction. The Mercedes looked terrible, and Aston actually looked fine.
Looked fine, and then one developed, one did not.
Yeah.
Very simple. Finally, in 6 through 10, we finally get some differences. Sean and I had VCarb 6. Taylor, you had Williams.
Wow.
Not that great.
Choice.
We had the inverse for 7th, where Sean and I both took Williams. Sean, you had Alpine 8th. I had Stake. Taylor, you had Haas. Then Sean had Stake. I had Alpine. Taylor had Alpine. And then last but not least, Sean and I both had Haas. And Taylor had Stake, which was accurate.
Hey. Wow.
We got one.
Okay.
The rest of our guesses were much better.
If it wasn't for
Yeah.
one race for Alpine, they'd be so much lower.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. The head-to-heads we did much better on. The drivers was sort of
Well, the
but
head-to-head's going to be interesting because of how many substitutes we had this year.
True.
didn't play a huge
Really?
role, to be
Okay.
honest.
Fair enough.
No.
Enough. I guarantee
No.
we got one wrong. All of us.
Yes, everybody
Sauber?
got at least 2 wrong.
Let's say we all got Sauber wrong.
You got Sauber right.
Really? Okay, let's save that for next week then.
That's the way it's
Excellent,
already
excellent. Oh man. Okay. Well, on that wonderful note, thank you very much for listening to this episode. We will be back next week to talk all things motorsports. Taylor, I'm sorry Ferrari sucks. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Spare Parts Racing podcast. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and follow the show on Twitter at Spare Parts Racing. That's Spare Parts RACIN, and on TikTok at Spare Parts Pod. Follow the hosts at Sean Chavarella, at Stephen Clary, and at Tay Moore.